Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about, well, it's going to be about myself. I'm going to entitle this the Edwin Learnard interview. I'm going to be giving myself an interview and answer some questions maybe a number of you wanted to know the answer to, wanted to inquire about, maybe haven't, maybe just thought about it, and just things maybe that you might be curious of pertaining to me and astrology. So anyway, first question: what inspired you to become so interested in astrology? Well, actually, I think my mother had a profound effect on this. She had been interested in astrology when I was very young, and I guess I kind of followed in her footsteps. At this point in time, she's not really interested in that anymore, and she's kind of turned in a different direction, which is her own prerogative. But that was really what had actually got me started, and it just escalated, and I became very interested in it and have remained interested, and even more so now, of course, than when I first started learning about this through her. Now, next question is, what motivates or compels you to keep producing YouTube astrology videos? Well, I guess I'm somewhat answering that from the first question. There's just such a passion with it, and my profound interest just keeps escalating and ascending and getting stronger, and there's just so much to learn still with this. I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable about the subject, but it seems like just all the little nuances and all these things that are associated with astrology, it just seems like the knowledge is endless and infinite, what you can learn, and it's just so many. What makes it fascinating, I think, is just all the little nuances involved with the subject, and I think that's what, and it's just my passion and enthusiasm for astrology. Those are the reasons that keep me going and keeps giving me the impetus to produce astrology videos. Now, the next question: why would you recommend others to watch your astrology videos as opposed to other people doing YouTube astrology videos? Well, the way I would answer that would be, I'm not necessarily going to encourage people to watch mine over theirs, but watch mine in addition to theirs, because I could give some insight into mine that you may not see in the other videos from other YouTube people that are doing the astrology videos. So you're going to get something from me maybe you might not see in the other ones. Other people doing these videos, you might see something in theirs that's not in mine. So I would encourage you to watch mine in addition to theirs as well. Now, your next question: when did you become interested in astrology? Well, I became interested, I'd say it was somewhere like around 1982, so it's over 30 years I've been interested in this, and that kind of connects with the first question, is because my mom was interested in it and she kind of got me hooked on it. So it's been a while, and I've been studying it over 30 years, so I believe my knowledge is fairly profuse on the subject, and that was when I became interested. It was over 30 years ago. Now, next question: what books would you recommend to others that would want to learn astrology? Well, there's a series of books that I think are really good for people to get the fundamental grasp of astrology and escalate upon that. And I think one series of books is called The Only Way to Learn Astrology. I believe it's by Marion D. March and Joan McGivers, I think is the name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And they kind of take you a step-by-step process, showing you in the first book fundamentals of astrology. And it goes all the way, talks through the series about aspects in the planets, planets in the house, planets in signs, chart rulers. So it really it tells a lot, and it's a very methodical way that it's basically where the message is conveyed as far as learning about astrology. And it's fairly easy, the way it's written, to assimilate this knowledge as well. Now, next question: what do you think are the most important parts of a natal chart? Well, obviously, I'd say the ascendant, sun, and moon are important, are significant elements. The final signature or chart signature of a horoscope. I'd say the midheaven is another important element. The first, fourth, seventh, and 10th houses can be prominent. If there's houses, planets placed in them, they could take on pretty strong significance in those houses. Obviously, if there's a stellium, and also if there's the chart ruler is important, and also if the most precise, exact aspects are pretty important in a natal chart, I believe. Now, next question. What was the most interesting astrology book you have ever read? Well, I think the answer to that for me was the Round Art. I believe it's the Astrology of Time and Space, written by A.T. Mann. And in that book, I saw something in there that I never saw in other books, and it actually had a specific physical description for every 5 degrees of every sign of the zodiac. There would be one thing for 0 to 5 degrees Aries, then another physical description between 5 to 10 degrees Aries, and so on and so forth. And I think that's what made that book very intriguing, because I just saw that in there, and it was something I had not seen in the other books I have read. So I thought that's a very interesting book as far as astrology goes. Now, next question. Edwin, you also do sports writing. Do you like sports or astrology better? Well, I like astrology a little bit better. I think there's more of a fixation with it. I'm more enamored with it. It seems like there's more of an exuberance that I exhibit when I'm doing things connected with astrology, and there's more get up and go for that as opposed to sports. I'm still very much interested in sports, but it's just not quite the same as astrology is for me. Now, the next question. Your total channel views have surpassed 150,000. What do you attribute your low to moderate success to? Well, to answer that, I would say just the fact that I do have some knowledge of this, pretty good knowledge of astrology. I think when people watch videos of somebody, YouTube videos, what gives them the incentive to keep watching them is that they sense that there's a passion and enthusiasm connected with what the person is doing. If the person is basically doing it for notoriety and just to get views, I think a lot of people will detect this readily, and then they could become disenchanted and consequently not watch the videos. But if somebody is truly interested in it, then it'll show in their way, in their manner that they do the videos, and this gives people more incentive to watch the videos. So that's why I think I've had some low to moderate success as far as my channel views goes, subscribers and viewership. Now, next question. At the same token, there are a number of other people that produce astrology videos on YouTube that have more channel views than you. Why do you think that is? Well, firstly, a number of these people have been doing it longer than me. They had more time to establish their following, and there could be something with me where I'm very conservative in the way I go about doing this. I'm not very animated. I just kind of have a very straightforward approach to it. I'm very serious, and I think that could play a role as well, in that I don't have any sophisticated graphics or any kind of great background or anything which might give other people a little more incentive to watch my videos. Also, some people will promote their videos, and I guess with my frugal Taurus rising, that prohibits me from doing that. So basically, I think that's why the viewership is not as much as where maybe people think it should be. The next question. What do you think the best sign of the zodiac is? Well, I don't know if there's actually any supreme or best sign of the zodiac. However, I think my favorite sign is Libra, because they have such an equilibrium about them, such a balance. They pretty much, it's a kind of a passive, peaceful sign, but at the same time they abhor injustice, and they'll fight for their beliefs when necessary. And it's a sign that can state things with a lot of diplomacy and tact. They can speak their mind, but it doesn't come across often as belligerent. And I think just their overall balance makes me feel that this is my favorite sign. This is the sign I think a lot of people would like to be, people that don't have Sun in Libra or Libra rising. But all signs have positive and negative attributes, so there's really, I don't think you can actually characterize one sign as being the best. Now, next question, what is your most interesting experience during the time you have been interested in the subject? Well, I don't know if there's one main interesting experience that really stands out. It's just the plethora of friends and acquaintances I've come across within my life that seem to correspond with their astrological influences in their natal chart. I had one friend that had a Scorpio rising and the moon in Scorpio, and he was very occult related. He had a lot of occult interests, it seemed like. I can remember one time he was walking down some sidewalk and he had a Ouija board strapped on his back, and he was somebody that was really kind of exhibited the strong Scorpio characteristics, and it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know his precise time, but based on the approximate time interval he gave me at Scorpio rising, his moon was definitely in Scorpio. Could have very well had Uranus in the 11th house, which would show kind of some Aquarius overtones and some eccentricities. So, and I had another friend of mine that was born on the same date as me in year July 1st, 1970, but he was born an hour after me, and he had Gemini rising as opposed to me having Taurus rising. And somebody prominent in my life had said, Eddie, it's funny how you guys are born on the same date and everything, but you're just so vastly different. And I said, well, that 1 hour in the birth time can make a difference. So we had a number of different house placements, different house signs on house cusps, and so that did make a difference. And we know that the rising sign is one of the more prominent parts in the chart, so obviously that did play a role in the disparity in our personalities, I think. Me with Taurus rising to kind of being very stoic and kind of serious, and him having Gemini rising, obviously he had a mischievous quality, more animated than me, to say the least. I was a little more placid. So anyway, the next question, some people don't seem to exhibit the characteristics associated with their sun sign. Why is that? Well, as a lot of you know, it's a lot of times the rising sign will take over in this. Also, you have to remember that there's so many other elements and nuances in an astrology chart. I mean, somebody could have the sun in Leo, but might have the majority of their planets below the horizon and in feminine planets and feminine signs, and that person will be a lot more introverted than your typical Leo. And the person, if they have Scorpio rising on top of that, obviously that's going to add the introversion and secrecy to that, and there'll be less weight on their sun sign characteristics because of this. Now, next question, the zodiac sign Cancer is the sign of life-giving, yet you have no children. Why is this? Well, the thing about it is, some astrological reasons for this may be, well, I have my Venus squares Saturn. Also, my Venus squares my ascendant. Another thing is, I think having the sun sign in Cancer below the horizon. I think sometimes that when your sun sign is below the horizon, this is my theory, you might get divergence of answers on this, but anyway, I think it can suppress the sun sign characteristics to a certain level. And if you don't have a lot of great aspects that are associated with your sun sign, then maybe the outlet, it's not always being expressed in its most positive manner. Now, another thing could be is that my moon in Gemini is in my first house of personality, and Gemini is a sign that doesn't like to be tied down, so that could be another indicator of maybe me not having any children at this point in time in my life. Now, next question, what are some of your hobbies and interests outside of astrology? Well, some of the things I like to do outside of astrology, I'm interested in sports. I've been enamored with sports for over 30 years. Another thing is I like reading, walking, relaxing. I like tranquil periods. Some board games, some games on the internet I like to play. I like surfing the web, and interacting with people on social media sites are some of my interests that are non-astrological. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the Edwin Learnard self-interview. And stay tuned next time where I'll be continuing my House Ruler series. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis on a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.